Hello and welcome to CSM Practice Podcast delivered by yours truly, Irit Ezips. And today we're going to have a powerhouse in the world of customer success. Her name is Anika Zubair. You all saw her and learned from her over the years. And now I'm proud to say she joined the coaching world and she is the CEO of the Customer Success Pro. As a background, for those who haven't heard her before, we do have another YouTube video with her. There's so much good content from Anika over the years, so do search her online if you haven't heard about her before. She spent 14 years shaping the customer success profession. She's been a head of CS herself, and today she's here to help us understand how customer success professionals should evolve into a strategic, trusted advisor by infusing value discussions into every conversation with the customer. And I gotta say, in today's ever changing economic conditions, one of the things that I always get as a response to my weekly newsletter is, Irit, can you share how can we turn our CSMs to be more comfortable talking about value to customers? And hopefully this podcast episode is going to give you some tips, some ideas on how to do just that. Hi, Anika. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's always such a treat to have you.
I'm so excited to be here, Erin. I've loved this podcast over the years. I've loved the evolution of it. I've loved having these conversations. The last time I was on, it feels like ages ago, but a lot's happened, and I'm excited to continue to share best practices and insights with your audience. So I'm honored and excited to be here today.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You made a major leap from being the head of CS to being your own CEO. Tell me about what made that decision, what inspired you to take on the entrepreneurial side.
The reason why I've transitioned from full-time customer success leader into a CEO of my own business is I realized there was a huge gap in the market when it comes to customer success enablement, training, and coaching. Then I started to build out my signature coaching program, CSM Rev Up. And again, I did this all while working full time and realizing there's this huge gap. And I've just been able to gain momentum. And because of that momentum, I've decided to take the leap of faith, be the CEO of my small but mighty business now. And I enjoy it. And I think that there's a lot of people to serve out there. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Can you give us an example of a framework that you have used in the past with your team or that perhaps you're using in your own coaching programs?
I love using this one framework, and I always say that it is something that you should use in every interaction with your customers, and it's called the CS value sandwich. I haven't trademarked it. It's just my fun way of naming something, but I'm a hungry person, and a sandwich always has three parts, and so does this framework. A sandwich has bread, something in the middle, and bread again, and the framework is how, why, ROI, the value sandwich. So
How, why,
how, why, ROI. And it also rhymes. Again, just something cute. I think it helps to remember things. But the three steps is in every customer interaction you're having, you need to cover how, why, ROI.
what's the how?
The how is your customer using your product or service today? So this is what we're probably trained and we know how to do. This is almost default, by the way. Coming back to what you said about technical support, how do you log in? How do I do this integration? How do I use this API? This gets covered by almost every CS Pro by default, by the way. Like we cover how, like we know it. That's why how is important. But then you need to connect back to the why. And you need to make sure that you connect back to the why, which is why did they buy your product and service? So coming back to that outcome piece that we talked about earlier. So why are you purchasing? Why are you using something? Like why? So you need to not only connect how they're using it, but why it's important that they're using this API integration or whatever you're trying to showcase them. These two things are pretty default in conversations. CSMs always cover the how, meaning the technical, the integration, how to use this feature. And sometimes they cover the why as well. Like, oh, this is because you want to be more efficient as a team, or this is because blah, 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 blah. So they cover the why. The piece I see everyone miss that I want to make sure that you cover the next time you talk to your customers is ROI, because that is the value piece, the return on investment. How are they seeing a return on investment by using this feature functionality? Or how are they seeing return on investment by working with your product or software? So, an example might be you've decided to use these dashboards. This is how you use these dashboards. In using these dashboards, we've been able to actually save your team an hour a week. That is extremely important because when you purchased us, you wanted to be more efficient as a business with your reporting. So that covered the how, the why, and the ROI. Covered how, like using the dashboards, why, because you want to be efficient as a team. And then an ROI piece, it's saving you an hour a week. So again, building value into that.
So you're literally asking the customer in that same conversation, what do you believe is the ROI of investing or like using this in this manner?
I think ROI is developed over time, by the way. That's something that you like get to know based on what your customer is looking for.
Obviously, but the whole point of this is to weave in value conversations and get CSMs more comfortable. So they ask the how, why are you using it? And then you said that the third piece of the conversation is the ROI. So, what are the questions that I need to ask customers that a customer would be comfortable sharing their thoughts around what was the ROI? Because, granted, not a lot of customers are actually tracking that or even know what was the impact on the business.
Asking, hey, coming back to your why did you purchase our product or software? And I always challenge CSMs if they say, oh, it's because we're trying to get better or we're trying to be more efficient as a team. Well, what does that mean to you? What does efficiency mean? Is it hours saved? Is it time saved? Is it being able to hire more people? Like, what does that mean? And I think as a CSM, we get nervous with asking discovery or follow up questions. You can ask, like, hey, what's your ROI? But I can guarantee your customer is probably going to be like, we want to be more efficient or we want to save some time. Or maybe they don't say anything at all to you because some customers just don't know, like you said. But it is our jobs as CS professionals to uncover what it is they're hoping to get out of using our product and service. And if you still can't get it from your customer, I bet your marketing and sales team have stats that you can share as well. This is something else I say to people is like, there's a reason why people bought your product and service, and it has nothing to do with your features. And I bet you it's listed somewhere on your company website, on a case study, or your sales team has some sort of information on this way too. But as a CS pro, to get more comfortable, you have to start asking the question of like, hey, you said you want to be more efficient as a team. What does that mean for your business? Does that mean hours saved? Does that mean hiring more people? What does that mean for you?
Honestly, what I've found over the years is sometimes the customer really doesn't know or they don't remember what did they even opt into it or what was the impact supposed to be because it's been 2 years of implementation and integrating this solution into their business and so much has changed since then. Sometimes the CSM can take a step in and say, we've seen other customers see this kind of impact. Hours reduction is about 5 hours per week average. Revenues generated, you should see an uplift of 20%. And what kind of impact did you see? Let's compare. And then if you're not there yet, let's think about what else can we do to get you to the benchmark.
Exactly. But also, you can take it a step further. Like, even if they say, like, oh, we want to save 20 hours, what is it that they want to do with that 20 hours? Because you need to explain to them how much more value you're getting from getting those 20 hours back. But the ROI piece is usually, like you said, it's forgotten because the customer forgets too. But it's a big part of our job to make a renewal a non event or to make an upsell almost natural rather than feeling forced or icky. They have to see the inherent value in everything that you're doing. And if you're not building it in every conversation, it's going to be harder and harder to increase that customer spend and lifetime value of that customer.
Every now and then, the economy gets like either a boost or a slap in the face. I feel like right now we're getting multiple slaps between the coronavirus and the tariff changes. There's a lot of volatility and more to come. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 3, 4 years as everything changes from the dollar to the Bitcoin to the who knows. Point is, every time there's a major shake, I feel like the need for CSMs to actually step up and have that sandwich conversation is important because the CFO of those companies is going to put a lot of pressure on consolidating tools. And you might be the tool that gets everyone consolidated into you and get rid of other tools, or you're going to be consolidated out. They're going to just use something else that has something like this. And if they don't perceive you as a mandated tool, they're going to get rid of that. So I think the sandwich conversation is important for right now. There's a lot of volatility in the market. We're recording this in April 2025. The tariff was just announced. Obviously, this is a key conversation to have, to reinforce and also flag any customers where maybe the ROI is a little bit ambiguous, or there's more potential for much higher ROI. What else would you recommend those that are actually working with those industries that might be impacted first? Is there anything else besides the sandwich conversation that they can bring into the calls with customers to elevate not just the awareness to the existing already captured ROI, but the ROI that they can bring forth with these economic changes?
I'm so glad you brought it up about the economic changes because I think that's where CSMs and CS professionals and CS leaders have to think. We have to think like business owners and business leaders. I think a lot of times, again, we get sucked into our product, our company, our ecosystem, which is great, but the world is shifting faster than we can even keep track, whether it's tariffs, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's, I don't know, a new form of currency. Like, who knows? AI can change everything the way we're working these days. But the one thing that makes businesses tick is revenue or profit. Your company is just trying to make more money, more revenue out of your customers, but your customers are also just trying to be more profitable or make more money. And I'm guessing you are also, like, as an individual, we're not working for free. And I think we're all individually trying to make more money too. And I think the biggest shift that I think is more in the mindset of how we work in customer success is owning the revenue piece and realizing that if we help our customers businesses grow, we will grow too. But I think a lot of times we see it as icky, or we see it as like, oh, I'm pushing a sale, but you're not. You're actually solving a problem to help them grow. And I think that that's one of the biggest things I'm seeing as I talk to more and more leaders, where it's like, oh, we have these immense targets or these things to focus on. Like, what can we do? And I'm like, I think you need to come back to the basics of it, that you are here to see your customer grow. And in order to do that, you do need to help them grow with you as well. And I think that if there's anything I could say on that, it's about growth mindset and thinking at the end of the day, all our businesses are trying to make money. So, how are you going to help your customer's business make money with your product and service? Because otherwise you're going to be part of that consolidation that you were just saying, that you're out the door. If you're not helping them make money, unfortunately, you're not as valuable as some CFOs would see it as.
People ask me, can we teach our CSMs to up level the value conversations? I think a lot of CSMs comes from different aspects of the business, and they think that they provide value by fixing the software, by adding a custom code, by sharing system architecture tips on how to best configure the application. But I think when I get these requests for, hey, how can we teach customer success managers to talk value? The ask is really different. So maybe you can help everybody else understands what is the difference between talking about business value to providing technical value. Why is it so important?
A lot of people who've been in SaaS or in customer success for the last 10 odd years are probably facing something similar. Like, back in the day, we were told fix the customer problem, make the customer happy. And a lot of times that was literally, let me go in and check this bug for you or go look at the support ticket. But that's not the reason why your customer bought your product or service. And I think that that's where we fall on our own sword in customer success, is that we think that fixing a problem is going to result in the customer reaching their outcome. And if you go and ask every one of your customers, I dare you to, and ask them, what was the business outcome you were hoping to achieve by using our product today? It had nothing to do with the feature, but it has everything to do with an overall outcome. And usually, most customers are buying softwares for two reasons: it's to either save time or make money, or maybe even both, actually. And when you figure out what their business outcome is with your product or service, that is where you are actually able to unlock and unpack value for them. Because again, yes, a feature might not be working and we might get so caught up in that, but fixing the feature problem might not actually be helping them save time or make money, which is why they purchased your product or service. You have to remember that your customer isn't here for a feature, they're here for a business outcome, and your job is not to fix features. You're not an engineer, or at least I hope you're not. Your job is to make sure they hit those business outcomes and making sure that they see value in that way.
Well, let's say I'm the head of CS. I have a team of 5 CSMs, and I listen in on some of the customer conversations, and I see that they struggle with that. Why do you think CSMs struggle so much with just bringing up the business outcomes conversations? And when they do, it sounds a little clunky.
I think it's because we don't revisit them often enough. If I'm completely honest, I think that we say we know, by the way, and we've had this beautiful sales handover from our sales leaders, and then we have it in our CRM or our CSP or wherever we're keeping all our customer data. But how often are you actually talking about it to your customers? Maybe in a kickoff call, maybe, and that's a big maybe. But I often hear most CSMs never bring it up again, and they start talking about the feature, they start talking about the functionalities of the features, but they forget to come back to the business outcome. And mostly it's buried somewhere, like I said, in some handover notes. And then when you have to do a QBR, or God forbid, you have to prepare for like some sort of churn or renewal conversation, that's when you go dig it out. And that's when you start talking to your customer about it. And it's like, okay, well, you're a little late now. Like, you should have had that conversation. If you're going to be a business consultant and drive business outcomes, it has to be a regular conversation. And I do encourage everyone I coach and work with, you have to be okay with talking about it regularly.
So I talked to a number of heads of CS where this actually happens with their CSMs, and they're thinking, probably should replace the team to some degree, like hire different type of breed of people into the CSM team. Do you agree with that?
If you're not helping your team succeed or enabling them to succeed, I think start with that first. You'd be surprised. Like, CSMs are very determined. They can get through a lot of stuff. Like, just think about all the things you throw to your CSMs. They will buckle down and get everything done for you. But the struggle is that if they don't feel enabled to get all of that done for you. So if they don't know the tactics of how to handle objection, if they don't know what kind of conversation they should be having when it comes to outcomes, provide them with a playbook or give them steps. Or honestly, your sales team has scripts. They have battle cards. They have medpic or qualification methodology. They have all these things. And poor CS people have none of that. They're literally told a dream, like, go talk to the customer and it'll be fine. But just talking to them is not enough. As we know, there has to be a method behind the madness. And you kind of have to enable them in some ways, because most of them, as we said earlier, are coming from support or coming from technical sides or just helping the customer. But we've learned helping is just not enough these days.
If I'm the head of CS and I sign up for a program, what are the components that I need to start working on? You mentioned playbook, scripts, fine. But what is the path to it? How is the head of CS can at least know that I did everything that I could to transition my CSMs and empower them to be able to do these value conversations? One of the things that you told me is that you have to have this value conversation all the time with customers. So how do you teach that?
You need to be coaching and enabling. If you can't do it, like I know that I have time restrictions as a CS leader, then bring someone in. Like, have someone come and help and coach your team. But please do not expect your team to succeed if you do not give them the framework and the methodology to help them succeed. And I'm not talking about a health score. I'm not talking about a customer success tool. I'm literally talking about helping them become better consultants, helping them become better business managers and entrepreneurs of their book of business. You need to help them. And I think that falls by the wayside too often in customer success. If I'm completely honest, I know sales teams and again, even marketing teams have lots of enablements, like departments, people, whatever you name it, they're enabling their team to succeed. And your job as a leader is to enable your team to succeed. And that can be a million things, a million different ways. And you know your business best and you know your company best. But a big part of being a leader and not a boss is to literally lead your team to success. So I believe in showing my team the ways to do it. And I believe that through frameworks. And that's a lot of what I coach on as well, is just what are the frameworks? Because a CSM will go do it. They just need the steps. And a framework is a beautiful way to help them see and understand how to do things. And as you said, I like to make sure CSMs deliver value in every single customer interaction. an email, a webinar, a call. It doesn't matter. I feel quite passionate that if you are truly building a revenue generating CS department, your CS team needs to be delivering value in every interaction.
First off, very important, the head of CS should take ownership about creating enablement materials, training, actively making sure that the CSMs know how to approach value conversations. And if they don't have time for that, obviously there's people like you that they can hire. So I want to just be clear about that because I have spoken to so many heads of CS that are just saying, well, my CSMs don't know how to do it. And they never figure, oh, I need to tell them. Shouldn't they know it? No, they shouldn't. Sometimes they don't. So if you want things done in a certain way, you better teach it and then you better practice it. So we did talk about you having a specific framework that you teach. Big word, create enablement. If I've never done it before, I do need some guidelines. What do you recommend?
It's so different at every business, but I do think usually the way human psychology or brains work is things like to be broken down step by step and keep it simple and keep it to the point, and then make sure whatever you're delivering, it's easy to remember or it's easy to implement into a call, into an email, whatever it is. And that's why I have a value framework that's 3 steps and super easy to follow and remember. And I call it a value sandwich because I love food. But name things as you wish. Sales have lots of methodologies and they have names for them. And the sales teams, by the way, they know things by name. So my biggest tip for enablement or for frameworks is make it simple and break it down so it's easy for your team to remember, because you're going to want them to make it like a no-brainer. If you are in sales, by the way, you have had to have learned MEDDIC in some training or some way, shape, or form, which is a sales methodology. Most salespeople know it if they're working in sales for a long time. Think of it the same way. You want to train your CS team to know a methodology or a framework in an easy way so that when they are talking to their customers, it's like a no-brainer. Literally, it happens so naturally because it's so easy to remember. So that's what my biggest tip is with frameworks.
Hey, if there's any busy heads of CS here that are listening to this conversation, I was like, ooh, yeah, totally need to teach my team about the sandwich framework. Are there any other frameworks that you teach in your value based program? How you coach CSMs? And like if they actually said, well, I don't have time, I'm curious to know what else you're offering. What are they going to get if they choose to go your way versus doing it themselves?
I have a signature course called CSM Rev Up Academy. It is a 6-week intensive course that's meant for cohort based learning. And there's 6 different modules that come in this course. So it's both pre recorded and live coaching with myself. And the modules cover a number of different things. The value sandwich is just one part of one module. So very, very in depth, but it's all about revenue confidence, revenue ownership, and revenue execution in customer success. So some of the first modules is about building strategic relationships and value mapping and also customer account mapping. Then we get into discovery and how to uncover upsell opportunities as a CS professional. And then there's a number of modules that are based around just cross-selling, selling, and different methodologies and tactics to be in more of a salesy or commercial role in customer success. We have a module fully dedicated to success planning, but what I call revenue success planning. So, how you tie that ROI into every conversation with your customer. And then there's a module about tracking metrics and KPIs as well. So, there's just tons of information, but it's all around being, again, confident, comfortable, and executing as a commercial or strategic customer success pro. So that's what the entire course is about.
Anybody here that's listening, you have a team that you want to make them more comfortable around value conversations and how to transition those value conversations into an upsell motion. I think you got the playbook for that from Anika Zubair. Anika, thank you so much for sharing that. As we wrap up, do you have a one message for any CEO, any startup founder that is listening that is thinking about hiring a head of CS or has a CSM team, but they're not feeling it? What's your message to that type of audience?
Hire someone that's going to grow with you. That's my biggest tip, because I think your business as you're a founder, CEO getting started is going to evolve so much. Your ICP is going to evolve. The way you work with your customers will evolve. just hire someone that you can trust that's going to grow the business with you. Because as you grow as a founder, like I said, your customer, your product is going to change, and you're going to need a leader that adapts to that change and that wants to build a business with you. I think that that's the biggest tip I have, because some CS leaders are just like, oh, I'm here to improve retention, or I'm here to make churn less or something. But you need to have, as a founding CEO, you need to have someone that's building a business with you and understands your customer evolution as that business grows.
Anika, thank you so much for joining me today. I've learned so much. And everyone else, thank you for tuning in to the CSM Practice Podcast. We have over 400 episodes for you to pick and choose to learn about customer success tactics, how to make your CSM team better, how to be a better customer success professional, and learn how to implement customer success in your organization if you happen to be a SaaS founder. If you enjoyed today's conversation and this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay connected with other experts that are coming into the show. And until next time, keep thriving, keep elevating the customer success strategy in your organization, one client conversation at a time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jarrett.